Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Panel. This is an intimate conversation and a quieter space to get to know the woman behind the story. And today we have Jay Sunshine. Woohoo!
Woo! Applause, applause.
you know, this is a conversation. It isn't about like you having to explain what it is. It's just about honoring your experience in your own words at your own pace. Um, no need to share anything that you don't want to share at this moment, because this is truly about getting to know who you are. This space exists just to witness you beyond the role, beyond the loss, beyond what people see from the outside. I would say. So
Okay.
yeah. So I
Okay.
guess we can kind of tap into the first question, which is um, before I guess we talk about anything else. Can you tell me a little bit about you, like who you are in your own words?
Oh, who am I?
I know
Um,
that's a loaded question.
it is, because I'm like, I could go a few different directions with that. But what I think folks probably want to know most about is kind of what I do. I've been a licensed clinical social worker since 2007. So I'm like a dinosaur in this game. Um, I am a speaker. That still feels weird saying that sometimes, like, because I ran from it. Like, God was like giving great chase with me with the speaker role. And finally, I was just like, I get it. I have a whole story about how that revelation came. But yeah, so I'm that. I'm a certified Reiki master teacher. So I'm super proud of that. Hope to be offering some Reiki. I'm gonna start with Reiki One courses this year. So, um, yeah, if y'all see me, ask me about it because that'll keep me a little bit more accountable.
I know that's right.
Um, I am I say I'm a former massage therapist because I'm not currently practicing. However, um, folks been trying to get me out of retirement since I went into retirement. Like literally, it's not. I used to say it wasn't a week. Now it's like it's not a month that doesn't go by that somebody doesn't ask, "What you doing?" Like, what them hands do? Like what? And I'm like, they still do. Like, look, don't get it twisted. I got hit the Stevie J on them. Yeah, they still do what it do, man. They still do it. But I'm just saying, I think it's important
Oh,
to listen. When things happen that are outside of what you think they should be, sometimes those are cues from God, like pause. Something that we like, because when it happened, so what happens? I went to renew the license, right?
hmm.
And it was like there was like pause, and I'm like, what's going on? Like I couldn't even log in. So of course I was irritated by that. I'm like, oh, I got to do. But as it turns out, it was really God saying pause. Like you would be spending this money right now. You're not even wanting to actively practice right now. Because my mind and my heart was just somewhere else. Focused somewhere else. So um, I will say former massage therapist, but I'm being pulled spiritually pulled back into that. And I'm not fighting it. It's just I just wanted it to be when it was time.
Yeah.
You know. But
How
yeah, so
did you do?
I'm a mother. Of course, I'm an angel mother. Um, I'm a mother to my son, Journey Amore, who is just the absolute love of my life. Like, yeah, his little Gemini self, I love him. All both sides of him.
Of course.
Woo! Because he's definitely too. Jeez. Yeah, so I'm a friend. I feel like I'm a great friend. I am mental health therapist. Clients would probably say an unconventional one, a lot of the times because I just keep it very real, you know. When I tell them certain things, they be like, I would never think a therapist would say that. And well, I'm not, I'm not average,
Exactly. Exactly.
you know. But yeah, so that's just a little bit about me.
Okay. Well, you gotta,
I love
you.
long walks in the park. Like, no, I really don't.
You
Look. I said I was gonna act right on here. Okay, let me.
look. We don't have to
Okay,
act right. We don't have to act right at all. We gotta show off. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
yeah, you know, I couldn't turn it off if I tried. So,
Okay. I was gonna ask you to expand on the angel mom part of it.
hmm so
I like how you
my
like.
daughter. So I guess I'll start from. And I don't want to give too much because I know, Sunday we're probably gonna go into more, but just a brief. So my husband and I, we were actively trying. Like this was a very wanted pregnancy. So we were super excited. It happened. Excuse me. And it was probably about. I think I was probably 4.5, close to 5 months before we realized that something. We were told that something was wrong, so to speak.
Yeah.
I was having pains like in the not me doing my hands like you can see me, but down here in the like the groin area, right? And so
Yeah.
I was, this was my first pregnancy, so I didn't know what was normal or whatever. So I called him and he was like, meet me at the hospital. I'm on my way from work. So we get there and um like I said, it was just pain, and what it ended up being didn't end up being anything related to that. That was just normal. But it was being in a hospital that day that they told me that our daughter was diagnosed with something called hollow prosencephaly.
Oh
It
wow.
took me forever to figure out how to say it, but basically it is a disorder when so we are symmetrical people. So we have something on the side that's the same on the side. Um, it's when the brain fails to separate into left and right hemisphere.
Okay.
And so, that could lead to just a variety of different things. So the lady at the we went to a specialist and the lady was like, well, if you want to terminate, huh?
Right.
Like, and this is no shade to anyone who has terminated a pregnancy. I just want to say that this is not that. It was just so shocking because I went from being like, because she was moving around and everything, like everything felt normal, to being told that, well, if you want to terminate, you can, but it has to be quick because the window of opportunity is well, not opportunity, but like it is
Yeah.
closing. And so my husband and I talked about it, and I was like, I don't want to terminate. I just want to see it through, so to speak, whatever. So long story short, she and we ended up delivering her. She was born. And I kept praying that that she wasn't. Um, I wanted to actually hold her alive. So that was my prayer. So when it's funny how like in your mind like you have this vision of what motherhood is like, but then you start like when you see like, okay, so this is happening, so now like you're praying for something different, and I'm still very close to the one of the nurses who was actually in the maternity ward. Like we became, yeah, like she's on my Facebook page, and she always says like, she's like, I've never seen anything like that. She said like, given the situation, she said I would have expected you to be totally distraught. And she said, but you were in there singing to your daughter like you were. She was like, you were like sunshine, and I'm like, well, it. I mean, it's hard to explain, you know. And of course, in that moment, I was upset and I was all of the different things, but it was after that that God really began to work on me. Like, and it's funny because I was having a conversation with my hairdresser. My hairdresser, you see, I'm looking extra kind of cute today. It's real
Put
fresh today.
fly, fly.
Yeah, yes, it's tea. Okay. But we were talking and I was sharing with her how it was just it's almost like nothing else would have gotten my attention.
Mm,
Nothing, and I said, I love my mother, I love my father. Even a passing of them would not have gotten my attention to seek God in a different way. Because for me, the loss of a parent, I mean, although devastating, I'm sure it's that's like the natural thing, like your parent normally goes before you do. Your grandparent, like I said, that's devastating. But for my child, I'm like, I can't process that. Like, you're gonna have to help me process that. And so I went on this journey, hence my son's name. I went on this journey and I was asking God for answers because for me, I was like, it doesn't make sense to me that because in my head I did everything right. Like, I was married, I was, you know, and I'm like, God, I'm 40. Like, what we doing here? Like, I was trying to one and done it, and you like, whew, so it was definitely a journey, and um a few people like helped me along the way, and what I learned during that time is that God had already put people in my life. Like, I didn't know that they were there for that purpose, but and that's something I often speak on, is how God prepares us ahead of time. And so now that I live in that. So when stuff is happening, or like when things are coming up and I'm getting stressed about it, I'm like, okay, what do you already have? Like, who do you already know that can help you with this? Because before, like, I would just be like, oh Lord Jesus, I don't know. But now it's like, I know. I might not know, but I know.
yeah,
Like, I know that there's somebody who knows somebody
yeah,
who can ask somebody to help me. You know what I'm saying? So it's the journey, to it really was like like a stripping down of me, and I had to really surrender.
yeah.
Like, I really, really, really had to surrender everything, like my beliefs, because I was kind of I'm gonna say something to step on some toes, but I was like, you know, Christian, you know, and that still has been a shift for me, because I still believe a lot of the things as far as Christianity goes, but there are some things I'm like, that's cat, like that's cat, like capital C, capital A, capital P, period, right? But like I would say the biggest thing that I took from that, and I'm really thinking about it now, is that God is not this, and I know we had this conversation. God is not this separate entity that's so far from me, and that I have to look up to, because we always say look up, and I still say that,
Yeah,
look to the hills from which coming thou strength, all that. I say all of those old folk Christian,
yes,
church folk stuff. I still say them and I mean them,
yeah,
but like, I learned that God lives in me.
absolutely.
Like, I was created in God's image. So, when I hear God, it doesn't sound like my child, for you have
Yeah,
thou. It don't sound like it. Sound like me. It sound like this raspy, you know, choked up voice. Like, it sounds like me. So that was just a whole shift in everything. And basically what I learned is that if if the loss of my daughter didn't take me off the board, I'm unstoppable.
yeah,
Like,
Absolutely.
who gonna check me? Who gonna stop me?
Yes.
Really? Like, I mean, like I lost a whole daughter, son. Like, what you got going on right here? Like, you think I'm worried about this? You
Exactly.
think I'm worried about if you didn't call me back? You think I'm worried about, sir, ma'am? I'm not.
Yes.
Like, I got what to say, bigger fish to fry. You
Yes.
know. Now I want some fish. Lord have mercy, I need to stop. Okay, because fish and grits will be real good right now. I'm
Like
sorry,
I'm
Nicole.
I'm hungry. That do sound good now though, because I ain't ate no breakfast at all. Um, but
Right.
yeah, okay. So I do have a question, a follow up question. Did she kind
Uh-huh.
of pass in your arms? She transitioned in your arms, or
No, so it was the way that it happened was, so she was, like they checked. So it was weird because like I was like, well, how could this be? Because I hear her heart and everything, and they were like, well, her heart is fine. It's just that like, she had like some facial deformities, right? And so I held her and I was singing and all that kind of stuff, and my husband held her, and um she, like, it was another nurse, and I so wish I know I'm going to encounter that nurse again. I have
yeah,
to.
yeah,
But she was just so gentle and everything. She was like, do you want me to go and bathe her and put, her dress and stuff on her? And so, I wasn't, at that point, I wasn't Jay Sunshine, right? So sometimes I think like, what if I would have done anything differently or whatever? Like, would I have held her like until they checked her, and said no, she's not. But I was just like, it was like I kind of made my peace,
yeah.
you know. And so the nurse took her, and when she brought her back, she was, dressed in this beautiful dress, and they did the little footprint things and all of that. So we held her and took pictures. I still have the pictures and all that kind of stuff. But it was just like thinking back on it, it was just like so like I was present, but I was also, I felt like I was like out of body a little bit, which how can that be? But that's just what it feels like when I describe it.
Yeah.
Um, and one thing about me, which you probably recognize and the viewers probably uh could uh could understand, is um I'm gonna find humor in everything.
Yeah.
It's there. Like, you know. So I remember when when I was at the hospital, I was like retaining a lot of fluid because she wasn't, because of her disorder, she couldn't, how the baby, the amniotic fluid goes through, so it couldn't go properly. So it was just kind of, you know, and so they did some kind of procedure to remove some of that. And so that kind of pushed me into labor.
Mm.
So I just remember, oh God, it's not funny, but it's funny. So it
Oh
was
boy.
because like it was a lady there, older kind of black woman. She was the cleaning lady. So she was in the room cleaning. So when they wheeled me back, my husband was in there, and like I just felt like this, like this, and it was like it was red. It was, it wasn't water. So, oh my God, the lady said, "Oh my Lord, Jesus." So I'm laying there like, oh my God, please help me. I don't know what's going on. This lady sounded mad funny, like, oh my Lord Jesus. And she was looking like, I'm just here with the broom and the dustpan. Like, I'm not prepared for this. So she was trying to help, and my husband was trying to call the people. So of course in that moment I'm not laughing at that. Like, I'm not laughing, but in my head I'm like, yo, this lady is tripping out. Like, she don't know what to do. Then I get in the room when it's time to deliver, and I'm like, whew, just nervous, but just like still flowing with it. And my eyes lock on this part. What hospital was Baltimore? I can't remember the name of the hospital now, but the big one of the big hospitals. And I just focused on this window, like the window in the room that we're in. And I'm like, yo, why is this window so dirty? And I was just like, this, why I gotta look at this while I'm doing this? Like, and I just kept focusing on that window. Like, they really should have people clean these windows. Like, this is like, I'm gonna write a letter. But my husband used to always laugh. I'm gonna write a letter, you know. But like that's just something that I feel like I've always been that way. Like, people who meet me as an adult and they talk to people who knew me as a child, they'd be like, well, she always like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she's always saying something crazy, saying something out of the way. Like, but like I just, it's like I pride myself on being able to hold humor and heavy in the same space.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, because for me, that's that's one of the only ways I'm gonna get through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because if I'm falling apart, then be worried.
Yeah.
You know, if I and I used to tell my husband, if you see me panicking, then you panic. But if I'm not panicking, we okay.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. But if I'm panicking, yeah, we call somebody.
But you need people like that in your life, like because everything ain't always serious all the time. And
Hmm.
if you take life too seriously, like it doesn't,
Yeah.
it just takes away from your spirit to me. So
Yeah.
like having
Yeah.
people, and my husband is exactly like you. Like he's just
Hmm.
humorous. He makes you laugh like hell, and it's
Yeah.
just it's cool to have people like that. Like I always tell him that that is probably one of the biggest things that has sustained our marriages, just because he just cracks me up like
That
crazy.
part. That part.
So yeah, you
Yeah.
have to have people like that in your life. But I thank you for saying that. Like really kind of explaining all of that, because I wasn't really sure. I remember when we talked, but it wasn't like I didn't know what truly happened.
Hmm.
But to kind of understand it now, I'm
Yeah.
very proud of
Yeah.
you. I'm very proud that,
Thank
and it,
you.
like you said, just the whole thing of you know understanding the how the steps are supposed to go when it comes to the transition. And then I had another friend who lost her daughter, and she was like, nothing else in this world could happen to me
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
will break me like this. And
Yes.
I don't think people realize, like, I wanted this to come from the voices of mothers, because though we all deal with death and the transition, I
Hmm.
think on another, like mothers losing their children on another, it's just another level to me. Um,
Yeah. I remember I was working at a place in the area doing therapy.
mhm,
And this was um so that was August 2018. So this was probably, I think this was like December, and I finally felt like ready enough to, return to work. At that time my husband was like, stay, whatever you need. Like, he was breaking his back, working extra and doing all the things, so, like that part of me that's just like, oh man, like I don't want him stressing out, so let me try to pull it together, whatever. But he was like, listen to me, stop worrying about it. Like, I want to make sure you're okay. He was like, I can do my job in a state of grief. Like, I can do this plumbing. I can do it. He said, but you can't do your job if in an active state of grief.
yeah,
So I was like, oh Lord, thank you for that, because I was stressing myself out. Like, oh man, this man working all kind of crazy hours.
yeah,
But one of the things that I want to share is so we would have like team meetings, right? And so they were like, we have someone who she experienced the loss of her child, and we were just wondering if you would be okay with seeing her. So inside, I'm like, "Ooh, I don't know, because it still felt like it was fresh. It was still fresh. But I was like, well, let me try. I'm like, let me try. So I reached out to her, and she was very, she wasn't dismissive. Like, she was basically, she had tried to see therapist before and it just didn't work. So me calling, I was just like, I'm calling from such and such, and um, I was giving your information to reach out to see if you wanted to come in for therapy. We can do an assessment. And she was just like, um, well, I mean, I my schedule is kind of busy, just saying all the things to be like, back up, back up. And so, intuitively, um, before we got off the phone, I said, can I just share something with you? I said, I, I said, they referred you to me because I too experienced the loss of my daughter in August,
Mm.
you know. And so, like, you could hear somebody, like, so she was like, oh, what day you said I can come in?
Wow.
And so I was like, I gave her the dates again or whatever. She was like, okay. But it's one of those things that somebody can love you and just be want to be there for you. But if you haven't experienced it, it I remember our first session, it was a lot of silence, but I knew what she was saying and
Mm.
she knew what I was saying. Like I was still able to do my job, because that was a test for me. Like, can you talk to this woman? Can you provide support for this woman when you going through like something like this? Because I remember having clients before, two in particular. I ain't had no business meeting with them ladies.
Yeah.
Like they needed like a sit. First of all, I was a new social worker, so but my intention. One thing I know now is that when you set the intention, that can cover for a lot. So my intention was set to really try to support these women, and but I hadn't experienced that, so it just it just didn't hit like it could have hit. Um, but yeah, so and to this day we still stay in communication. We both uh got pregnant around the same time again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, like when God's hand is on it, it's like every day I wake up and I know, okay, thank you, God. But it's certain moments where God shows up in a way that's just like really, God, like you love me like this, like
Yeah.
because I reached out to her on some, oh, I think she will be. So I'll say this, like, there are, of course, ethical things as a social worker, but certain things, it's just from a soul level, you know, I'm gonna reach out,
Yeah.
and so I reached out. I was like, hey, just checking in to see how you're doing. I wanted to share some news with you. And when I told her that I was pregnant, she was like, oh my God, I'm pregnant too. And I was just like,
That's crazy.
what? Like, so and it happened the same way. Like her son is a little older than mine,
Wow.
but yeah, but we were, and it's just like, it's amazing. It's amazing how like God send those reminders, like, I got you.
Yeah.
Like I told you I had you back then. Like that covers the rest of your life. Like, you don't have to, this isn't your driver's license. You don't have to renew my love. Like it's just there. It's for you,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I just, God is just super.
I got another one for you that's gonna like just gonna like freak you out as well. But uh there's another woman. She may be there, she may not be there, but I did her panel, I think it was Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And she lost her daughter. She was 14. Her next one of her children, she named them Journey.
Mhm.
And just to kind of hear,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
similar things, and then she also said the same thing. It's just like if you haven't went through it, like you really can't talk to it. People
yeah,
try
yeah,
to, and they try to talk to it, but they really can't unless you have
yeah,
actually experienced that full
yeah.
experience.
And they have, and I know people have
They
the
try.
best intentions, and so that's, I that's the thing that I have to hold on to, well, I had to hold on to, um, especially like right after it happened, because, people would say things that I'll just be like, I want to cuss you out, right? Like, I want to cuss you out, but I ain't gonna do it. Like, I ain't gonna do it. But, but like I know that they weren't. It wasn't malicious in intent, but it was just like they're trying to comfort, but it's like sometimes it's okay to just not say anything. It's just say, I'm sorry for your loss, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because anything else after that is probably going to be offensive or make me feel some type of way and potentially get you
Yeah.
talk to.
And that's
Yeah.
something
So
she said that too. She was like, the best thing that she got, because I was saying something about hugs, and she was like, that was one of the best experiences that she remembered was her cousin came. He came there the day it happened, and the only thing he did was he brought food and he gave her a hug, and then he sat in the back. He
yeah,
didn't say
yes,
what happened, what's
yeah,
going on, none of these questions. And she was like,
yeah,
everybody else was just flooding her with questions when she was like, I wouldn't even sure how to even get through it myself. Like she was
right,
like, I was
right,
still processing. Yeah.
right, right, right. Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
a
I definitely went through that. Yeah,
yeah. And she was saying the same thing. Like she wanted to say something to some people because it's like, how dare you? Like, how dare you tell me, oh, they're in a happy place? She was saying things
yeah.
that
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 stuff.
that
Yeah,
really, I guess people don't, like you said, people's intentions are good, but they don't even realize, like, just give me a hug. Don't ask me no questions.
yeah,
Ask
yeah,
somebody else. Ask my mom, ask, your dad, whomever. She was talking
yeah.
about that same exact thing. So it's so and I know you guys are gonna have similar stories, but and one of the other things she was saying was something about like it's a club that you don't even you didn't even ask for.
Listen, you know what I was saying, it's a badge that you wear that you. It's not like a badge of pride,
Yeah.
but it's a badge that I you as And the thing about it, when um, because I love Facebook. Like my husband used to be like, "Oh, you just doing too much of Facebook," like that's my jam, right? And so when I posted that she had passed away, of course everybody was just like, whoa, because um, I was, I had, she was little baby Johnson. That was a hashtag, so it was just shocking to a lot of people, because even once we found out that she had this disorder, like I didn't like announce anything then, like, so for people, it just was really like, whoa,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was just really a difficult time.
Yeah.
But like I said, you just hold on as best you can, you know.
Yeah. So when you think about what you've been through, right? What parts of your experience feel most, I would say, misunderstood by others? Like I know you said
Mm,
you like humor, you bring humor into things. Like, is that something that people misunderstand, or what other
I,
things do
yeah,
people
so, and that's what I was going to actually go to. I think people think that it's something that I do like as a cover,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm like, this is just me. Like this is how I'm wired. Like I'm wired to, if you say something, like if right now if we were talking and you said juicy, right?
Right.
I'll be thinking juicy, juicy. Like it would take. I would have to, Janelle. Okay, stay here. Like I'm just wired to, like I hear song lyrics. Like I'm wired like that. So I, like when I said fish, and I'm like, oh, now I'm thinking about fish and fish. I'm just kind of wired um, to like to being light. Like it does, everything doesn't have to be heavy, but I absolutely know how to be when it's time to do the work, like that serious work. Like, yeah, we're gonna do that. But humor is just, it's it's in my DNA. Like I couldn't. Remember I said like I said I was gonna act right. I don't know how to act right. If I try to act right, it will be me sitting here going,
Right.
mm-hmm, no, yes. I'm gonna just have to say yes and no,
Yeah.
and but like I don't. I think people feel like sometimes that oh, it's okay to grieve. This is how I grieve.
Exactly.
I could be laughing my ass off and still be in an active state of grief. Like it doesn't like one can exist while another thing exists too.
Absolutely.
Like I said, humor in the heavy, like I hold that.
Yes. Yes.
Like I don't it's not separate. It's not outside of me. Like I said, God is not outside of me. And I feel like that's probably the most misunderstood thing about me is that, you know, because I remember somebody saying on social media, like, oh, it's okay if you cry. I know. I don't have no problem cry all the time,
Right.
but I laugh all the time too.
Yeah.
And I'm not laughing at the situation, but I'm laughing about, sometimes I'm laughing because God, it's just crazy how this situation that probably has taken some people out of here, physically and emotionally, and if I'm being honest, spiritually,
Yeah.
because God had to, you're gonna have to talk to me
Yeah.
because I don't understand this. Like I'm 40. I was trying to, just do this when I felt ready, and yeah, it took me a minute to be ready, but I'm ready. And so now I don't have like I gotta leave this hospital without a baby,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so like when I had Journey, he had jaundice or whatever, so he had to go to the NICU and all of that. So I was like just really trying to breathe through it, like, Lord,
PTSD
like,
kicked in. PTSD kicked in.
yeah, I'm like, come on, I don't want to be in this hospital turning up. But the nurse was like, she was like, well, if you all want to leave and go home and get some rest, I said, I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm not leaving this hospital. Like, pause your words. Like, Dame Dash, pause. Like, no.
Yeah.
The only way I'm leaving here is with my baby.
Absolutely.
Like, period. And I said, I know you don't. I said, you don't know my history. I said, but ma'am, I am not leaving here without my son.
Yeah.
Period.
It,
So I know she probably was like, "Dang, I'm sorry, I apologize, but y'all had to get you together real quick. I ain't leaving here." You
absolutely.
know,
So
no.
okay, so I guess one of the things that a couple other women talked about was how they parent now. Do you parent differently now than you did, like, not than you did before, but do you parent differently?
Then
Do
I
you
get
think
that.
differently um certain things?
So, um, I'm a whole lot better now, and I think my mother would agree. But like, I used to just
Yeah.
hold them, like, people want. I mean, plus, I mean, let me add this too, because so look, it wasn't all just me. COVID didn't help,
Hmm.
because he was born. So COVID, everything shut down in like March. He was born in June. So COVID, in addition to, I don't really want my baby out of my sight, because I guess in my head I felt like, well, if he in my sight, I know he's okay. Even though, the people that I would leave him with was very, very, very few. I trusted them and I know that he was going to be okay, but I was just like, you know, yeah, like it definitely, like I was definitely like what they call the helicopter parent,
Yeah.
like just hovering, any little things. You okay? And like now I'll be like, you all right? All right. Like
You
out
fine.
here, boom.
You fine.
Yeah. Whereas before I would have just jumped up like,
Yeah.
what's going on? But it really took, and I attribute that to just living and understanding that my helicoptering was not out of just wanting to do it. It was born out of like my need to feel like I had to protect him.
Yeah.
Like I have to, be here with you in order to make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'll drop him off now. Like, yeah, go with your grandmother, go with your aunt,
Go
stay
ahead.
overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, bye.
That's good.
But yeah, it definitely shifted. But like I said, it was in conjunction with COVID. So, some of that was COVID, but a lot of that was PTSD. Like just,
Absolutely.
and even just like leaving the hospital and putting him in the seat, and he had his little hat on, his little chunky, his little head. And I was like, whew, thank you, God. Like, man, like this is what this feels like,
Yeah. Step
you
one.
know. Yeah, and then like all night I was just and like who's sleeping tonight? Not me. I was watching that boy all night. My husband was like, "You gotta lay down." I was like, "Nah, I'm good." Like,
But I get it though. I get it.
well,
Yeah.
if I happen to doze off, jump right back up. Is the batteries work? I mean, is the battery work? Baby, the battery's working. It's working. See, the light is. I'm just saying, because what if we sleep and the batteries die? But it was, like I said, it was rooted from something real. It wasn't just, oh, I just want to be a crazy, super protective parent. It was real.
So I take that
But
to the next question, which is like, how has your inner world kind of changed since this experience? Even like in small ways or quiet ways that nobody ever sees. Like, how has your inner world changed after that kind of happened? Like, I know one of the things that you were talking about is how you kind of learned the word surrender, and you know,
mhm,
just some ways in which your kind of inner world changed since then. You
mhm.
did talk about this just a small bit.
Yeah, I think the biggest part is, like I said before, it's like this quiet knowing, and I use that word a lot. Like even if I don't know how a thing is going to happen, I trust that a thing is going to happen. Um, but like just knowing that situation, if I could do the work to get through that, I can do the work for anything. So anything that comes across my path, it's like it's almost like it's all secondary.
Yeah.
Like it's all like that was primary. That was whew, like on every level. Like physically, I got my body was tired. Emotionally, like just depression. And it was weird being depressed but also still believing God. Like that felt different. But that's exactly what it was. It was like, this is a lot, God. And like I said, all the sleeping more and not eat what not eating, because I throws down, so I'm like, oh, yeah, I know I'm depressed because it wasn't able to eat. Yeah, this is definitely some depression going on up there, but
Silly.
just being able to just have that inner knowing that I'm unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like, and even like I actually remind myself about that frequently. Like when things happen, like if I'm faced with something that feels like, man, like how am I gonna figure this out?
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself, I don't have to figure it out. All I got to do, I talk a lot about faith and mustard seed. All I got to do is just activate that mustard seed faith. And at my event, I actually, so I host a annual vision board experience, and this year was called 2025, the Revelation Room. And I shared that sometimes, so when I was trying to find my mustard seeds here, but I was like, Janelle, I know you put them somewhere so that you wouldn't lose them,
Yeah.
but of course you lost them, so order some more, right? Just order some more. Don't stress yourself out. So as I was scrolling, and was looking for the mustard seeds, I saw ground mustard.
Mhm.
And look,
Mhm.
God will use anything to send a message, right? And I was like, yo, because sometimes that faith is definitely giving ground mustard, like just dust,
I like that.
dust, like not like you can't even really hold it. It's just, but that still says, God, I'm still believing. So, what did I say? This delivery in the dust, right? Because like it's all just connected. Like my daughter's passing, um, could have, should have taken me off the board. Like I said, like should have been the end of me, emotionally, but it actually strengthened me. And I was also talking to my friend yesterday about how God sharpens us. Like our testimonies are built on tests, right?
Yeah.
And it's when I look back on different things that have happened in my life, like the positive, right? And I trace it back, it usually started with something that pissed me off, something that made me mad, something that was I viewed as a negative, right? And so it's through those things that we would never choose, that God is able to help us see our purpose, right? Because the work that I do now, like I said, I've been a social worker doing mental health therapy since uh 2007.
Mhm.
2007, Janelle is not 2026 Jay Sunshine. We're not the same people.
Nope.
Like, she's still in here, you know what I'm saying? But the way that I do therapy now, it's just a whole different level.
Yes.
Like it's not rooted in what I'm supposed to do or what was in the textbook. It's rooted in, okay,
Yes.
what does God need you to know right now? Because and a lot of times when I'll be in the middle of a session with somebody and God will be speaking, it'll be something for me, right? And I'll be like, oh, thank you, God. And they already know.
Right.
Like they know from the jump that, if we can't talk about God, then I'm probably not the therapist for you. Like I'm not gonna beat you over the head with scripture and all, but like if that can't be a part of it, then it's probably not gonna be a good fit, right? And so sometimes like I'll be in the middle of talking and I'll get like a revelation that's for me and I'll be like, oh man, oh you thought this was your session, girl, girl. This for me today. This for me today. They be like, oh my God, here you go. But it's a beautiful thing when God can have the same information come that is received, at the same two different people, right? But yeah, so I just kind of as far as like you said, my inner workings, like how things, I just be trying to chill and just know. Like I try not to worry. Like I was in a situation the other night where I could very well have sent a very nasty text. Had even started typing it out. It was gonna be a good one. But I was like, Janelle, I just delete it.
Yeah.
Just delete it. You know, cause like that part of me that I have worked on, like this not impulsive, like just who you think you talking to, like that part, she's still there. She
Mhm.
peep out every now and then. But I was like, nah, sis, we good. We good over here
Ready?
because,
You ready?
you know,
Okay, I'll sit back then. You ready?
right. So I'm like, yeah, like she there, so whenever I need her, she pop out, but what does they take me through there? Like she'll do it, but she'll do it. But it's just things like that that remind me that,
Oh gosh.
you got kingdom work to do. You don't got time to be, this is low, what to say, low vibrational. Like you don't have time for that. Like just leave it. Like and for like 5 minutes I was like, I had to breathe through it because I really, I had something good, like, how you, like, I like, this is just a little known fact, but what's the lady's name? Tia, or she used to date Rick Ross or something,
Oh,
but she can like cuss you out like none other. I be watching her like, wow, like, yo, that's amazing. So when I say I had something good, I'm like, oh, this is good. But I'm like, Janelle, don't do it. Like, it's just not worth it. So I just try to really um preserve my energy in every aspect. Like even if I go in the store and the person is nasty, like the clerk or whoever is nasty,
Mhm.
I'll just be like, it's y'all been busy today, or because
Right.
sometimes
Yeah.
it's just that like it's that like they'll be like, I don't even want to talk about it. And I'll be like, I know, like, I remember when I worked in fast food, people just coming in and they want this and want that, and it's saying they ordered it this way, and then that they didn't. So then, you ready to slap them and, like, and
Mhm.
they be like, okay,
Yeah.
but just that little interaction shifted the way, because, like they was just over it,
Yeah.
and I could have just been adding to it, like, got an attitude with me for? Get my daggone Whopper. There better be cheese on there. But like, just taking like slowing down. Like I say that to clients a lot. If we would learn to slow down,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they'd be like, "What do you mean slow down? Everything. Slow down, like sending that text. Slow down. Do you really want to say it? Even in talking, even when I'm talking to people, I noticed that because it took me a while to get here, but like I slowed down because it allows me time. Because people say that, oh, well, I blacked out. No, it's a moment before you say anything. It's like that pause because you taking in air to say it, right? You like, and that swallow it,
Yeah. Yeah.
like don't let it out. And when I brought that to folks' attention, they were like, it damn sure is a little pause before I go off. Like, and I'm like, yeah, it's enough of a break for you to be like I said, but you just have to be conscious of it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah, I just be trying to.
So what's the difference? So tell me the difference between Janelle and Sunshine.
Ooh, this is so funny because I don't know why God be doing this, because I have just had this conversation with
Oh,
someone.
wow.
Um, because she asked me a question, and I said, "Well, who do you want to answer? Do you want Janelle to answer? Do you want uh the therapist, like Miss Johnson to answer, or do you want Jay Sunshine?" She was like, I'm trying to see what all three of them chicks got to say. So I'm like, okay, because there's three different answers, right? But Janelle is um Janelle is just like kind of like round the way girl, just like chill, like, oh, let's hang out, let's whoop de woo. People
Right.
just whoop de woo, like, like I'm a vibe, right? But Jay Sunshine is a vibe too, but Jay Sunshine um is more of a spiritual connection. So when I'm speaking, it's like how can I say it? Like I have to, like I can see things differently.
Yeah.
Like I can see things um like heavily influenced by God. Like I can, like the responses that I gave her, she was like, damn, you really did give me three different, very different responses. And I said, I told you, it's three chicks in here, like, so who you want, right? But ultimately, I would say that Jay Sunshine is the best version of me,
Absolutely.
because she has aspects of the other parts too. Jay Sunshine, she funny. That's who's here now.
Yeah.
Jay Sunshine. Um,
She encompasses all
yeah,
all
huh?
I said she encompasses all of the rest of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
like I
So
like that. Oh, that's nice.
that's me.
I know
I
that's
can't let this water bottle symbol because I ain't getting paid for the promotion. You know how they be covering it up when they be
you're so
ain't get no
sweet.
free promo out of me. Mm-mm.
So, this is another question that I like to ask people. Do you believe that someone else is, and I know you're going to probably agree with this, but I wanted to see what your understanding of this is. So I always say somebody else's death is someone else's resurrection. And I wanted to know how you kind of understood that, or how do you see that? Do you see that as true, or do you see that as,
Yeah. So when it initially when she initially passed, I didn't see any of that. Like I just saw like this is a lot to handle, this is too much. But like I said, it was shocking enough and important enough for me to want to seek answers, right? And so like I said, I went internally and I also externally just to kind of for people to help me to understand. And so Jay Sunshine was born, well, I'm not going to say born, reemerged
mm,
um
I like
through that process,
like
right? So um yeah, it's been some different transitions, like like business wise, like my business name used to be Crown to Soul Wellness. um and that was what it was. And then like through a series of events, God let me know that that's not your business name no more. And I was still trying to hold on to that thing and still trying to make it work. And everything that I tried to do with it didn't work. And I was just like, what's going on here? Like I thought, you know, I thought this was a good deal, and what I immediately heard, but it's not a God deal. And I was like, oh, okay,
mm,
I
right.
get it. And so when God gave me the name for my business, which is Illuminate Your Armor,
Mm,
it was like, wow, like that it just made so much sense. Like because of basically what I was looking for was a space where all the different versions of me, all the different gifts that I have could be used. So maybe somebody coming to me, maybe you need a massage, maybe you're coming to me, maybe you need coaching, maybe you need Reiki, like I wanted it to be all inclusive, like because I'm not one dimensional, like I'm
multidimensional.
out here, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah. So yeah, Jay Sunshine was definitely born slash reemerge because it's a lot of things that happen now that when I describe it, I say, oh, that feels familiar, and so it's not just being more on a spiritual, because I never used to understand when people say I'm spiritual, because I'd be like, oh, you probably weird or something, um, but now to be one of those weird folks that I used to talk about, I'm like, it ain't so bad, like like it's
Yeah.
because it's weird in an amazing way. Like it's
Absolutely.
weird because like even like watching your videos, like one thing I'm gonna do when I watch a video is think.
Mm,
Like it forces me to pause and think.
wow.
Whether it's something that
Received,
I,
received, received. Thank
yeah,
you.
you're like like it because it's like sometimes it's something that I thought about that before, and but it's like those things you say, those things that folks are afraid to say or have just never considered. Like it's a lot of time, like just like about like this question. the death of one person is the birth of, like, nobody really talks about that,
Yeah.
but I would have still been like, if my daughter had not transitioned, like I would still, be a social worker, I would still be doing mental health therapy. But Jay Sunshine, who that?
Yeah.
Like, I would have just still been doing it the way I had always done it, and
That's
yeah, so
that's the whole thing I love about, like, honestly, people shy away from, like you say, the heavier things, the darkness, when, like, one, darkness does not exist without light, and light does not exist without,
right, right,
and darkness is where you process. When you said that when your daughter transitioned and you went inward, that is where all the growth, all the evolution, all of the learning, all of the new multidimensional people that are inside of you, that's where that starts to come out.
yeah,
And then
absolutely,
that's where Jay Sunshine came from. Because if it wasn't for what you went through, that would not have been reborn or rebirth.
activated. Yeah, I wouldn't have activated it. Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. So
yeah,
I'm always, I it's weird, and I know I'm weird because I love to talk about the darkness, because that's where we process. That's where babies are born. That's
mhm,
where plants kind of grow, and we are like plants. We are
yeah.
absolutely plants. We grow
Both
from the
develop in the
adversity.
dark.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
the light is what we grow into, but we feel the light feels so good, so we want to stay in that, not
hmm,
realizing that life is duality. We're going to go through things. This is what this life is. It's about learning how to move through these things. And I just, when you said that, I was like, damn, that was amazing, because people don't realize you're always going inward. When you're going through anything, you're going to go inward. You're going to figure out how to process it. You're going to have to
hmm,
sit silent. This is where God is like, you're going to sit silent for a little bit. You're going to figure it out. And I said this before, I never understood why people used to say, don't question God. I feel like that's how you get your answers. I feel like
yeah,
that's when you start to go internal, you start to ask those questions. Why this? Why that? And when you start to ask those questions, that's when you start
hmm,
to truly gain that knowledge and those answers. And I do feel
absolutely.
like we go through things in order to help other people. So when you were talking about, the lady that also lost her daughter, like, it was like, the way, none of this is coincidental. The way it
Yeah,
lined up together, where you were actually
yeah,
able to help her, and then y'all became friends, and then the
yeah,
coincidence of, like, both of y'all being pregnant. I mean, it's just, the universe,
yeah.
God is
We
amazing.
both lost daughters and we both birthed sons.
It's so, listen,
Yeah,
I mean, that stuff just gets my heart flowing, because I
yeah,
know that it's nothing but spirit involved in it.
yeah,
Nothing but spirit.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I get off on a tangent sometimes, because
No,
I just
I do
love
too.
it.
I get it. But something else I wanted to say here in this space is, um, when you talked about, like, our stories are for to help other people. Um, when I experienced that loss, I felt like I was literally just like on this island by myself of women who experienced the loss of a child. Because I feel like I may have known a couple people who may have experienced that, but you know, it was this flooding of inboxes of my friends and Facebook friends. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Send my condolences. I had four miscarriages, and I had, I lost, like, just all, like, it was almost like when I felt that I was on this island. I didn't know that it was a prayer,
Yeah.
like it was a prayer to God. Because I often pray without knowing that I'm praying,
Hmm.
so that prayer was, God, show me that I'm not the only one going through this. And not in a way like, oh, I'm hurting, I need to see you hurting
Yeah.
too, but like people who have gone through it and are on the other side of it,
Yeah.
like, because one friend, like, she, had experienced I didn't even know that had lost her daughter. She was like, yeah, she would have been, It was like 17, 8, she would have been like, and I was like, but like it allowed me to see, well, I talk to her, couple times, a few times a month, and she doing good. Like she well put together, like she laughing, so it felt like, okay, God's showing me there is life after this.
Yes.
Like I said, like, people think that prayers are always on your knees, hands, in the prayer posture. Sometimes it's a thought.
It's only
It was, I feel so alone right now. I feel like I'm literally just on this island by myself. And God was like, nope, 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 nope. And there was a lot of them. Like it was to the point where I was like, man, like, why did you never tell me? And people don't talk about it.
yeah.
You go through it and you put it behind you. Like when people, even people ask me, um, uh, oh, you just have one child, and I said, no, I have two, but my daughter passed away. It's like I can't
Yeah.
just say
Yeah.
I have one.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's just like and this is I've never said this publicly, but like even when uh people like I'm gonna say it because it's the truth for me.
Please.
Um, like my son's grandmother, like she mentioned like, X number of grandkids. And so I'm counting and I'm like, well, it's two that are deceased that she didn't even mention, so because for me it feels like they still should be counted.
Absolutely.
Like just because they aren't here, like they don't stop being your grandchild because they're not here. Like if I'm not here, and it wasn't my mother that said it, I'll just say that. Because I don't want people to be thinking, oh, Janice said that. No, Janice ain't said that. But you know, it just felt like, oh, like I always include my daughter. Like when people ask, like, you meet a guy and they, oh, how many kids you got now? Wow, I had two, my daughter passed away. Oh, I'm sorry, whoop de whoop.
Yeah.
But it's like I just have to, and telling people that I feel like it's such a part of me. Like people need to know
Yeah.
that that
Absolutely.
was a loss that I experienced,
Yeah.
you know. Or somebody referred to me as the boy mom. I was like, I'm actually not, but
Yeah.
I get it. You only see me posting this little redhead cute thing on social media, but I'm not a boy mom. So, but yeah, but that's just my little thing I had to say on here
Um,
publicly.
no, that but you're so right though. I mean, it's like if it doesn't affect other people, they don't look at it the way that the person who was directly affected.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like it does make you feel a certain type of way.
yeah,
When stuff like that kind of occurs, you're like, wait a minute, like, yeah, I get. How old
yeah.
would she have been, if she had lived?
So here's the thing, and this is gonna sound, I don't know how it's gonna sound, but I purposely don't
Oh,
count that.
that's
Like
good.
I know, like if I sit here now and I do the math, like I'll absolutely know. But like I don't think of it in terms of, like I don't, when her birthday comes, um, I don't think, oh, she would have been, I just take it as this is the day that she was born and the day she transitioned.
Yeah,
It's like if for, like for me mentally, I don't want to, because she wouldn't have been,
yeah,
like she was what she was, and it was less than an hour that she lived, and so I don't want to, it to me it feels like emotional plaque,
yeah,
like just stuff. It don't have to be there. Like it's just I'm putting more on myself, and I know people do that, and it's no shade. It's for me, I can't do it like that. Like I can't process it like somebody would have been, because when does that even stop? Like Because
But I
some people, oh,
I
it
love
would
that.
have been 150, like, you know, but
But I know I love that
but
perspective though.
it's like,
I think the perspective is amazing. Like I think the perspective is amazing because most parents do that. And for you to say
yeah,
it that way, like that makes me think like, dang, that is so true. Like,
it's just
so
it's added stress that I don't want,
it, it is.
you
It is
know.
absolutely. And
And
I
I purposely, I'm, I'm very intentional. I try to do things for a reason and purpose. When my son was born, we knew we wanted to get him, um, what is it, Christian, blessed or whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
Um, so I purposely, like, I looked at the calendar and I was like, oh, I asked her if she was available on that, I don't know if it was a Saturday or Sunday, but August 23rd, I was like, are you available to do it that day? And she was like, sure. And I was like, okay. She didn't know that that was when my daughter was born and transitioned. But for me, now, not only is that date associated with the birth and transition of my daughter, it
yeah.
is also the day that my son received his blessing.
Wow.
So I think that if more people, like, you almost like you have to plan for the grief that you might feel.
Yeah.
Like, because grief sneak up on me all the time. Like, I could be just driving and see something that's like, oh, like, and not traditional things that you would think, like, oh, you see a little girl and you think, no, like, just something random that just makes me think about something. But like, just being intentional about what I do on that day, like, I plan to do something on that day.
Right.
It's usually something with my son, but like, I plan for it. Like, I don't just let the day come and now I'm stuck,
Yeah.
like, I plan for that day, like, I plan to, because I think that because hers happened, it was the same date, the birth and the transition was the same date. It, because how can I say this without sounding insensitive? Um, I just think it's important to, it's cool to remember when the person left here, but I think it's also more, in my opinion, more important to celebrate that they when they came to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think we like I said, mine was in the same day, so I don't have where, oh, she was born this day and then it was some years later and this happened. But like, even that, like, I don't want to, I always say this is the day she was born and transition. Like, I don't say that this is the day that she died,
Yeah.
because she was also born that day, and I rather focus on that she was born.
Mm.
If that makes sense. But like, I just do things that make me feel emotionally okay.
Yeah.
Like, the way I process things. Like, I'm wearing purple today. That's intentional.
Yeah.
Um, that's wasn't just something I just threw on. But her baby shower, which we didn't get to have, but her baby shower colors were going to be purple
Mm.
and the black and white zebra print.
Yeah.
So after she transitioned, um, I would see this color, and I would just be like, I don't want to see that, because it was an instant reminder that she wasn't here. And of course, like, the therapist in me was waking up like, we got fit, we can't do that because it's purple everywhere, like, it's purple everywhere. And so I learned that I can change my narrative. Like, I can take this thing that is making me feel some kind of way and I can fully embrace it. So I started wearing purple every day. Like, I had a ring, it was like a heart ring, that it was this big gaudy purple heart ring. I would wear that every day. So until I lost it, then I stopped wearing it. But so like, sometimes you would see this purple, sometimes it would be pants, it would be something. And if you didn't see purple, my drawers was purple. Believe that. Believe that.
I know that.
Trust that. I'm messing up your whole thing, but I'm being for real. Like, like I would
I know
intentionally
you
buy
are.
purple, right? Sometimes like I said, sometimes it was the draw. So,
Mm,
um, but like I took something that had the potential to just really stall my progress, to stall my journey. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. Like, I'm going to embrace this color,
yeah.
purple, and so like I just even like my mother was buying me stuff with purple, like, and at one point I just was like, Mom, good off the purple.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know you win it every day. So I'm like, I'm good. And I don't really remember when I stopped,
Yeah.
you know, but I'm sure that there was a reason that I stopped. But I knew that I was going to be talking about this. So I'll have on purple on Sunday,
Oh,
But yeah, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna wear this today. Yeah.
so I I have one follow up question. So
Hmm.
I remember you saying you do therapy, right? So
Hmm.
and I think you mentioned this a little bit, but I just wanted you to expand. How do you perform therapy now versus therapy before the transition happened?
So therapy before was very I was still good. Like I was still, like um, what's the word? I've never been by the book, so it was never that. But I think the spaces that I worked in were heavily like bureaucratic and stuff like that. So there were certain things that I felt restricted, So I always wanted to have a more spiritual component to the therapy, but but it didn't allow for that,
Yeah.
like in the spaces because in some of the spaces that I was in, like basically like I had to see whoever was coming in. Like there was no choice. And um calling me so um but like there was no now she done throw me off because now I'm worried. I'm hoping it's not okay. What was the question again?
I was saying,
Oh, okay.
yeah, go ahead.
So once I was able to be in a space where I had a little more freedom,
Yeah.
freedom meaning I could really relax and do therapy. Like I could, if a client didn't align with me, like I could be like, no, I don't want to see that person. So
Mm,
like once I was in a space where I could choose, you
mm,
know, what was what, it didn't feel like I didn't feel like I had like the shackles of how I wanted to be able to talk to people and do things like that. So yeah, but then once I started like my own practice, um it was like, oh yeah, this definitely it, like because I can definitely like pick and choose who I work with, who I want to work with. And from the jump, like they know, like I'm highly spiritual. Like I said, not just gonna try to talk at you with stuff, because the thing about the beauty in having a therapist that is also okay. So I'm probably gonna have to shut off in a couple minutes.
yeah,
But
that's
but
fine.
just the beauty in being able to
You need to go. That's fine. If you need to go, that's fine.
I was just gonna say, like, just the beauty in being able to be free in your interactions with people has really helped me, you know. So yeah,
No,
and she's calling again. I'm sorry, Nicole.
no, you're fine. You're fine. Thank you.
Okay.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
I just wanted to take some time to thank Jay Sunshine for actually joining beyond the panel. Her story is absolutely amazing, and she gave some great nuggets. So I just wanted to close it out by just giving her some love and thanking her for being here, and sharing her, you know, the nuggets and everything that she has kind of been through in her experience. So this was here to allow her to be seen beyond the panel, beyond the story, and beyond what people often ask them to carry. Enjoy your day.